the one thing I do want to talk about, just because I know that we're only not too many of us have been putting into it, is the Acolyte. Will, have you watched any of it?
Nope.
Okay,
I
Chuck,
am
you've
waiting
watched 2
for it
episodes
to
of
end,
it.
and I'm going to binge the whole thing in one go.
That's a really good idea. And I'll say this for one reason. So everybody who's listening to us, and who probably does, understands this one really serious point. First 2 episodes, nothing really happens, and you go, it seems like... okay, things do happen,
A Jedi floats
Okay.
for 10 years.
Ah, yeah, that dude. Yeah, so some dude from Game of Thrones is wearing makeup and he's floating. That's cool.
Okay. Floats. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, honestly, like, the story is just like... So, you remember when Disney said, hey, all of these books, they're not canon anymore? I feel like Disney is now saying, hey, remember all those movies? They're not canon anymore.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Yeah. So they are undoing... They're trying to find a way... What's the term, Will? When they basically just undo everything that's already been done?
Retcon?
Retconning. They are retconning. I keep saying retrofit. Retconning Star Wars. They are using this to retcon Star Wars for the agenda.
I would say, before you continue,
Lego
IMDb
Lady.
gave this show very high ratings.
Who?
IMDb,
Well, I can't trust them anymore.
3.4 stars out of 10.
Okay.
Sounds fantastic.
That sounds about accurate. And the only reason why they got 3.4 and not, like, 2 is because of the last episode that was released. So at this point, I think the episode was called Night. So we had
Day.
yeah, Day was the first episode.
Are you
No,
serious?
so the episode before was called Day.
Yeah.
The one after that was called Night. So the episode called Night is actually, as far as choreography goes, because they have some saber stuff going on, really good. Like, really cool. And it's the only thing that's, like, so far good about this. And I'm not saying that, like, the actors are bad. I mean, they're not great. But the reality is, like, the story that they're going with here is like, okay, like, maybe that makes sense, but... I mean, we've talked about this. Kathleen Kennedy specifically said, oh, we just want to focus on diversity. Like, the story is not a big deal. Like, what are you reading there, Will?
This is a wild swing, even for Rotten Tomato.
What are they
Average-
saying?
Critics are giving it an 83%. Audience score is giving it a 14.
14. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That's
yes.
a wild swing.
That's because I think a lot of the critics that are doing that are actually following in suit, lockstep with what her agenda is at the same.
I don't
because
think so.
she did come.
I do not think so. I think they're bought and paid for.
That's what I mean.
They
They're
are.
lockstep.
They absolutely
Well,
are.
They're in lockstep.
Being bought and paid for isn't being in lockstep. They're bought and paid for. There's a difference. I think that there's a difference there. Being in lockstep,
Okay.
you can be in lockstep and not get a dime. But if you're,
True.
if
True.
you're one of the
What I'm
top
saying
critics
is
for Rotten Tomato, you're doing that because
right.
somebody's cut.
But she came out. She came out and said that this was going to be the gayest Star Wars ever.
She said it straight up.
Straight up.
And meaning, like, our goal is to be focused on this. Like, our goal is to make this so inclusive and diverse.
Mhm.
But they're disregarding story, continuity, and even just, like,
Well,
good
they
dialogue.
even came out and said that, even all of the main actors are Black, Hispanic, or Asian.
Yes.
No single white, except there is one white actor, and he's in prison, I think, in the
Okay.
show. But outside of that, they have no white people in the show whatsoever.
Now, I know everybody's been talking about this, and I'm surprised we haven't talked about it sooner. But if you read anything, the guy Yord,
Yeah.
the character, he was like, oh yeah, so when Anakin Skywalker blew up the Death Star, he says it literally twice in an interview. He does not know Star Wars. He thought that Anakin blew up the Death Star. Okay, that's
Okay.
one.
Okay.
one of the head writers of the show has never seen anything Star Wars. I'm sorry, but if you bring somebody into it, I understand you're trying to bring some new life and some new ideas in there. But if a head writer has never seen anything Star Wars,
Get them away.
get them away. Because the thing is, this is a beloved franchise that's been around since '77, and it's like, get somebody who's just like who's seen it. Like I'm fine with somebody wanting to be inclusive and bring some more diversity.
Okay,
in it.
hang
Not
on,
like
hang
there's
on. Let's
never been
back up. Let's
diversity
back up.
into
Let's
it-
back
into the
up. Let's
thing.
back up. Beloved by who?
By the people who have loved it since '77.
Stop. That's not
What?
you're because that's not the target audience.
No, it's not.
Not anymore.
No.
It
But there are-
hasn't been for over a decade.
I disagree with that because, like, my dad still is a huge Star Wars fan.
The
When
thing-
the movies come out, he's all about
The
it.
thing about Star
This
Wars is
junk
it's
on
multi
Disney Plus,
it's
he's
multiple
not.
it's multi-generational.
Right.
And that's what makes it good because they've affected everybody.
The original trilogy and maybe the prequels are multi-generational. Everything that's happened after Sith is not. This has been a dead franchise for about 20 years. And now all of a sudden we have Disney that's like desperately trying to breathe new life into it. So again, I ask you, who is this betraying? Because it's not us. It's not anybody older than us. It's people younger than us that probably don't care.
The thing is, most of the people who do appreciate this franchise in general, they haven't hated the stuff that's come out. Like they've had their things to say. I mean, the thing is now with the internet, obviously we're hearing a lot more voices. We're hearing
Right.
a lot more people complaining about it. But the reality is, we all agree that The Last Jedi was not a good Star Wars film. Maybe a good film, not a good Star Wars film. And what the heck was Abrams going to do after he got pooped on with his setup with The Force Awakens? But then again, people pooped on The Force Awakens. But the reality was, like, I'm looking at it from my perspective and saying Force Awakens, not a bad movie.
Force
Chuck
Awakens
watched it, said the same thing.
Force
Not a
Awakens.
bad
rewatched
movie.
it.
This is go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that I think this is Force Awakens was just New Hope made over again with a fresh coat
Okay.
of paint, and a whole bunch of people don't want to acknowledge that. And
I'm fine
I'm
acknowledging that.
not criticizing either one of you. I think the two of you are included because if you just looked at it objectively, you cannot tell me that Star Wars has been anything but what it is for about 20 years. We are not
I
the
agree
target
with you.
audience. The Xers are not the target audience. It's over. It's been over. It's been
that's the
over since Obi-Wan had the high ground. We're going back 20 years. Okay? This
I disagree with
franchise
that. They
has-
did a good job.
This franchise
They
has
did
been
a
dead in the water for 20 years, and this is just Disney's desperate attempt to revive this franchise. And they're doing it any way that they can. Hey, let me finish. They're doing it any way that they can. So everything that's going on right now with the inclusivity and gay characters, and they're going to retcon this and that and everything else, it's serving its purpose because people are talking about it positively or negatively. Engagement is engagement, period. It doesn't matter whether it's good or bad or indifferent. Engagement is engagement, and that's all these companies care about
Yeah,
right
but
now.
Sources
they care about
close
the
to
numbers.
the Disney CEO.
They care about the numbers. They care about the likes. They care about the people that are talking about it. They care about podcasts like this one right now, who will rant and rave, who will rant about it and tear it to shreds. Just the same way that they care about the podcast out there that loves everything that they're doing right now. It's an equal thing. They don't. That's what it is, and it's been that way since Lucas sold it. It has not been anything but. And
Right,
if
I
anybody
agree
and
with
if
you.
anybody wants to try to tell me differently, I'm going to tell you that you are looking at a pile of crap through rose-tinted glasses. This has not
agree
been
with-
anything but that for a very long time.
True.
However, you do have people, and I am going to single you out. You do have people who like Lee, who maybe you don't know when to just call it a day. You don't know when to just let it go. It's
I have
over.
a giant library of books that are so much better than everything else they've been putting out.
Then
And I'm still
stick
going to
with your
watch them and
books.
say, well,
Then-
you know
then-
what?
then
And that's
stick
the
with
point.
your books.
The point is, the stuff that they considered non-canon is better than the stuff that they're calling canon now. So I'm
Okay.
fine with the books. It's just still sad to me. I can still be sad about a franchise burning itself down to the ground.
I don't know
But
why
here's the
anybody's
thing, though.
sad. I don't know why anybody is surprised. This should not be a surprise
Here's the
to
thing.
anybody.
Listen, The reason why I never got into Star Trek is not because Star Trek was nerdy. It's because Star Wars was finite. It was pretty simple. They had 3 movies, nice and simple. I can watch it and be okay with it. And it was good. And then they had books. I'm like, you can read the books or you can not read the books. It's good. Then they made 1, 2, and 3. I'm like, good.
Which is perfectly
you finished the story. End there.
Which is perfectly fine.
You want to make more? I sure hope George Lucas is going to be involved.
Hold on.
He sold it.
But that goes in. This goes into my point. And I'm just throwing this out as an example. This is a very blanket statement that I'm making. If your favorite movie is Empire, Disney does not care about you. Has never cared about you. The new trilogy does not care about you. It has not cared about you since
for 20 years.
Period.
Right.
I don't understand why I don't understand why everybody above a certain age is so up in arms about this. It should be very simple to grasp. It is the writing was on the wall. They came out and Disney came out and told you exactly what they were going to be doing with the Star Wars franchise.
Call it something else. Call it Rebel Moon.
Stop. The moment that they
don't call it Star Wars.
The moment that this thing was purchased from Lucas, everybody knew exactly what Star Wars wanted to be. But here we are, close to a decade later, and people are still complaining about it. I don't understand. You're wasting your energy. You're wasting your energy, your breath, and your time.
Disney was putting out some really good stuff until they got Star Wars. Pirates of the Caribbean was really good.
Rogue One was really good.
Rogue One was really good.
Fine.
But the point is, Disney did this and said, ooh, let's see if we can touch all these generations and just mess them all up.
See, but here's the thing, is I agree thoroughly with what Will just said. Disney destroyed...
They don't care.
They don't care. That. If it hasn't been 20 years, it's been at least 10.
Yeah.
I would thoroughly agree with... I would say 20.
You did say 20.
I said if it's not... Right. If not Sith. Then, at least 10 years.
Sith is the end... Sith is the end of Star Wars for people our age and older, and that's it. That's
right,
it.
But when they made Force Awakens, like I enjoyed that movie.
It wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad.
It really wasn't bad.
There were parts of it like Rey knowing how to fight.
I think a lot more people need to go back and watch that movie over again. I think the same thing is going on with Force Awakens that was going on with Phantom Menace. Everybody came out of that movie, oh my god, this is amazing, and it took about a decade for people to finally start being like, there are some problems.
He just watched it yesterday.
I just watched it this past week, and I will say this. What's the next movie? Is it the
Last Jedi?
Yeah.
I thought that was
that was the second one.
What's the third one?
Rise of Skywalker.
That's right. So had it not been for Last Jedi,
I'm Batman Skywalker.
Had it not been for Last Jedi, I was gonna say the Phantom Menace. Wow.
Yeah.
The Force Awakens by itself, there's a few parts where I'm like, like Rey knowing how to being able to beat Kylo Ren. No, sorry.
Being able to get in his head and then get into the.
Hang on.
Yeah.
So there are parts I don't like, but
Rey,
overall,
without a day of training, is able to best a Jedi that was trained by Luke. And you're telling me that, it's not a half bad movie. That right there
that's
should
what
be
I'm saying
enough.
Is the issue.
It should be enough for everybody to go, Star Wars does not care about me anymore. Star Wars, Disney does not care about me and my opinion about this franchise.
Nope.
I agree. That was the beginning of us recognizing that.
I'm not saying
it was. I'm not saying it's the exception and everything was great, including that. I'm saying that was the point where we go. No, but I really hope they don't go past this and make it worse.
The thing is that you can see that and you can recognize it, but you still have people who will make excuses. Oh, it was okay, and this was all right, and this was not that bad. No, it's no.
See, if they did what J.J. Abrams did with Star Trek and they made a trilogy like that, and he brought back new life to this universe that was, what he did with Star Trek is he actually brought this generation into like a marrying of the old generation and brought it because the old generation who grew up on the original loves the new trilogy.
Sure.
And then all of the younger people love the new trilogy, and it actually made them want to go back and watch the originals.
It's exactly what I did. It's exactly what I did.
But if you watch the new Star Wars stuff, you're not going, I want to go back and watch.
Not at all.
No, they watch them and they go, they're so slow and they're so dumb. But it's like, but I'll go back and watch Star Trek. I'm like, I see how this ties in. I really like this. You know, like
that first
whatever.
Star Trek movie is
the first
Well,
one,
motion
the first
picture-
one's lame, but
Yeah.
Wrath of
Motion
Khan,
picture is horrible.
Wrath of
that
Khan
movie.
is
Was,
Star
I
Trek
was
great.
like,
It's boring. All they do
Yeah.
is talk about Lee's definition of Lord of the Rings. That is the motion picture of Star
Yes.
Trek. It's just
Yes.
them flying through space.
Yes.
They come to this planet.
That's not
and they
my
fly.
definition of Lord of the Rings. Listen, I love Lord of the Rings. I just think it's funny
You know what,
when you
though?
take it down and strip
Never
it down
mind.
to its joke.
But here's the thing. I sent you guys an article,
Oh yeah,
and this right here is the culmination of this whole Disney thing. And this is I think it's the president of Disney.
Bob Iger.
And he got caught with an undercover reporter. And
Yeah, I
I
saw
wanted to
this.
make sure that I wanted to make sure that it wasn't just rumor. So I looked at like 9 different websites, and they're all saying the same thing.
They're all
But
saying
he
the
came
same.
out
They're all
saying-
saying. Oh, hang on. They're all saying the same thing because the source is the same for everything. They're all just regurgitating the same story over and over and over again. But I know where you're going with.
But they showed the video.
I know.
Where
Bye.
did he go?
Let them go.
They show this video of him having this conversation saying that Disney is no longer hiring white straight men for writers or actors. What?
Which
Trying
is
to figure out like why.
which is wild coming from a white straight guy. I just like the
He's gay.
hypocrisy there. No, he's not.
He's
Is
gay.
He really? I didn't.
He's gay.
Okay, good for him.
He's gay. But they want to be super. They want to be so inclusive.
Mhm.
They're going to exclude all these people.
Good for them.
So what that means is that after X-Men Wolverine, or Wolverine, Deadpool Wolverine, after that they'll have to recast all of those characters because they're white and straight.
I kind of doubt that any of this is going to happen.
Well, it can't because he got fired.
Oh, of course. But I'm just saying, like,
If
even
it wasn't
if
if it wasn't exposed, it
even
probably-
if he,
they
I don't put any. I really don't put any merit behind that at all. That might be his vision. That might be things that he wanted to do. That might be conversations that he was having. But at the end of the day,
But Star Wars Acolyte
not
had
making-
no
at the
white
end of the
people,
day-
and they were all gay.
okay, good for Star Wars.
But that's the first thing that came out after he started saying all of this stuff. So they're already doing it. They're already doing it. Like it's like, here's a silver platter. We're giving it to you, and it is the exact thing that I just said that we're gonna do.
I have to see more in order for me to take what he said with any kind of validity. I have to see it happen to Marvel. I have to see it happen to other Disney franchises. I have to see it happen across the board, not just to Star Wars, you know? And from what I got from that article and his interviews, it was cut up. There was probably some things out of context. If you want to say that he was talking about Kathleen Kennedy and the direction that she wants to take Star Wars in, I believe you 100%. That probably is exactly what she wants to do.
Well, I watched.
Do I think that
watched the whole video.
do I don't think that my point is that until I see it, I'm not going to believe a lot of what he said is going to apply to everything in Disney. That would be wild to me. That would be
I don't think-
wild. I
don't think at this point it's going to come to pass
No,
because
it's not
he
gonna
got
come to-
fired and it got caught.
I don't think it would ever have come to pass. I think I think it was clear as day that undercover person and that interview and everything that went into that, I think it was painfully obvious that he was talking about Kathleen Kennedy and he agreed with everything that she was trying to do. That's the way that I took the article and the interview. I do not think that there was ever any hope of that infecting everything under the sun of Disney.
But he didn't say Star Wars. He said Disney is no longer hiring straight white men.
Okay.
Not Star Wars. Disney. He's quoted, and I watched the actual interview. I watched him say it.
I believe
that Disney is no longer hiring.
I believe
straight white men for actors and writers.
I believe you. I didn't say that I didn't believe you. I believe you. I believe what he said. But there are Disney franchises. Hang on. There are Disney franchises out there where there are still straight white guys collecting paychecks. So
of course, because they're already employed there. What I'm saying is, moving forward, they're not going to hire anyone new that is white or
and I'm
straight.
also pretty sure that somewhere in that interview, he said there was a point in time where we weren't doing this, which is clearly a lie because there were white guys collecting paychecks who were on screen.
Yes, but what he's saying is, moving forward, this is their goal. Their goal is no longer. That's why I said is after Deadpool and Wolverine, when Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds are done, they're going to have to like recast them or something because they're both straight and they're both white, you know? So obvious. So if they already have employment with them, Johnny Depp, all these guys, they're going to maintain the continuity with all those guys because they're going to make them stupid amounts of money. If Johnny Depp was to do another Pirates of the Caribbean movie, it would make them a boat ton of money because it's Johnny Depp being Jack Sparrow in Pirates of the Caribbean. Who's not going to go see that? If they were to recast Jack Sparrow with somebody else other than Johnny Depp, it would flop. But going forward, they're going to, I don't think it's going to happen because it got exposed. If it didn't get exposed, I truly believe that and Acolyte is the beginning of it, that they're trying to actually go so quote unquote diverse that they're trying to eliminate the straight white. And this is the thing, is they're actually doing in reverse what was done 70 years ago. And they're trying to actually do it in reverse. And they're saying that it's inclusivity versus actual reverse racism, which is exactly what it is.
So
it's exclusivity in order to like make up for lost time.
It's
something.
not okay. Right. So just so I hear you clearly, you think that he was talking about Disney?
Well, he said Disney.
So I'm never going to see another white sports analyst on ESPN.
A white straight? No, I think
I'm never going to see. Hang on, no. I'm never going to see another white sports analyst on ESPN.
No,
there's never going to be another. There's never going to be a television show that comes on FX starring a white straight character.
No, I think that it blew up and it's no longer going to happen because he got exposed. Had he not got exposed, I think that over time, just like they did in Acolyte, they're going to try to eliminate certain group, in this case, white straight men. You'll see a white guy, but he probably won't be straight. If he had his way, according to him, that's the case. Now, he got exposed. Everybody knows this now. So for Disney to actually continue down this path would be stupid of them. So I don't think they're that stupid. So I think that they're not going to do that moving forward because this whole thing blew up.
Well, Acolyte already got canceled for a second season because of how bad it's been received.
Right.
But I mean, the first thing I got, actually, this is like a week or 2 weeks ago. It said sources close to the Disney CEO Bob Iger described him as overwhelmed and exhausted as he faced the company's current issues, which included diminished attendance at Disney World, a loss of Disney Plus subscribers, and many box office disappointments. Like, Bob Iger is like losing his mind.
And he can't figure out why.
Well, the sad thing is, I mean, look at the poster right there. Robert Zemeckis, Bob Gale, like I've got Back to the Future right here. Kathleen Kennedy and Frank Marshall were like the two. It was like every time you saw a good movie, Kathleen Kennedy and Frank Marshall were involved for the longest time, from the 80s, the 90s, and whatever. And then we get this stuff here, and we see what she's pushing out, and she literally said, like, I'm paraphrasing, but what she was saying was, we don't care about story, we care about diversity.
That's why
that's why I said
that interview, I think there was a lot missing from what was written down. I think there's a lot missing from a lot of the audio and video. And I think it's plainly obvious that he was talking about the vision that maybe he and Kathleen Kennedy had for whatever Star Wars was turning into. There's proof there. There's enough evidence there for you to be like, you know what? We've been saying it for years about Star Wars, and here's the evidence. Can't say that applies to the rest of Disney. It would never happen. It would be financial suicide for that to happen, or to be applied to the rest of Disney.
Well, we're seeing that happen right now.
And
Iger's recognizing that.
But they did that with other aspects of Disney.
Yeah.
With Strange New Worlds or Stranger Worlds. They did that with Buzz Lightyear.
Mm.
They are doing that. They're going down that path. They are peppering it into all the other kids shows, but like with Star Wars, they came out full-fledged. They will have to draw back now. They will have to draw back and, go a little bit slower. Well, I think they jumped into the deep end a little too fast, and now they're sinking because of that. So they'll have to draw back and still, they did it they canceled Snow White because they used a Hispanic girl for Snow White.
Well, that's because everybody's like, come on, her name is Snow White.
And then they used average-sized people for the dwarfs.
Yeah.
And they were all multiracial. All multiracial. They were different races. They're brothers. And they're little people. Like, make them...
Make sense.
Make sense. You could use regular-sized actors and then just...
Shrink them
like they do in Lord of the Rings with all the dwarfs. You make them small.
Yeah.
But still, they were different sizes and different colors and different... And there was 2 women. Like 2 girls for the, I don't know, Sneezy and Happy might have been female. I don't know. But this is what Disney is doing with their entire, they took one of the number one, beloved animated films that people have grown up on for going on 9 decades now, and they destroyed it. To the point where they were done with filming, they were done with production, they were months away from releasing it, and they had to cancel it because people were already having an issue with it. How many things have they canceled or had to stop doing because of this agenda, and they're still trying to push it, and they haven't figured out, Bob Iger hasn't figured it out. Hey, I'm overwhelmed, all stuff is going on, but I'm going to keep doing it anyways. He needs to be fired.
Yeah.
That's just...
Okay. I forgot who I was talking to recently, and they were like, Walt Disney's son, he's running Disney. I'm like, what? No. Walt Disney's son has nothing to do with it.
Probably not.
There is no Disney person involved at all in what's going on with Disney right now, because this is not what Walt Disney had in mind for his company. He did not plan for things. And I'm not just saying this for Christian values and this and that and whatever. I'm just saying the company has become such a corporation. It's not what Walt Disney had envisioned in the beginning. He wanted to entertain. He wanted people to feel the magic of Disney. And that's that. Now it's ooh, how can we use this to push our ideas and our ideals on others? And it's I know you guys didn't watch, without giving you too much into it, you guys didn't watch Dream Scenario, but there's a point where we know what it's about. People are dreaming about him. He's approached by an agency that wants him to promote a product. They want him to be in commercials, or have social media with him with this product, so people will dream of him with the product and then buy the product. It becomes this big crazy thing where it's how else can we hook people? How else can we get people to buy this thing? And it's just so sad to see a company that comes off with a dream, starts off with this idea we want to entertain, and it's all we want money. And I know it's obvious. I know, Will, you're sitting there well, duh. It's the
capitalism.
World. I get it. I know. But come on. This is children's entertainment. It is. Star Wars, to go back to it for a second, was made for 12-year-olds. 12-year-olds. It was literally made for 12-year-old children. And now it's being totally bastardized and turned into this garbage. And it's just like, ugh.
I won't even finish Acolyte. I don't even want to.
I'm going to,
Aww.
and I'm just going to be mad about it.
Yeah, you're going to finish
But
it and you're
you know what
going
I'm
to be
gonna
mad
do?
about it.
I'm going to go back over here to my bookcase and read the plethora of amazing stories that were written by people who actually were fans of Star Wars and have seen the movies.
You know what I've been doing?
Not the people who are writing for Star Wars now, who've never even seen it. People who are going, oh yeah, when Anakin blew up the Death Star. I'm sorry, but that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. That is right up there with, I'm not going to get political.
Know what I've been
Leaving
doing?
it there.
I'm gonna
It's dumb. It's dumb. I'm sorry, but if you're in the movie, you should know anything about it. Sam Witwer, who did hold on, Chuck. Sam Witwer, he was the guy who did the facial whatever, for The Force Awakens, those games. He's also the one who did the Darth Maul voice for the for Clone Wars and stuff like that. This guy comes up there. It was so funny. He was working with Dave Filoni, and they're like, we're going to do this and this. He goes, I'm sorry, that doesn't make sense. And he was like telling them, you're contradicting Star Wars lore that's in canon that we have considered canon forever. No, he wouldn't do this. We're going to do this. And he's like, oh, that's a valid point. Okay, like we have fans like that are still part of the Star Wars franchise. Yet, you've got Mark Hamill. I'm sorry, I love Mark Hamill. And he was getting a paycheck, and he said, I disagreed with it, but they paid me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They paid me.
Yeah.
And I said what they told me to say. And then when he worked with Abrams, he's like, thank you for helping me try to kind of bring back my character. Well, I was wrong.
By astro projecting myself across the universe.
Yeah. Yes.
So
well, no. That's when he said I was wrong. That was later on when he was like, watching it all burn. But yeah, the thing is, to me, I understand it's going to change, but I can still be sad about it. Can't I? Is it okay to be sad?
No.
Is it okay to mourn and to
No.
grieve?
Yeah, mourn and grieve, but don't continue watching it.
I think
I'm still going to watch it.
I think there's a
course,
point.
the don't
I think,
mourn and grieve.
I think, hang on. I think when you say, can you be sad? When you say, can you just, mourn and grieve over something? You can, but eventually I think like a lot of fans out there who are more hardcore than you get a little bit delusional about it. It's always been about money. It's never not been about money. The aspect of Star Wars that you're talking about that's like for 12-year-olds, yeah, the toy department was for 12-year-olds. What in Empire or Jedi was for a kid?
The Ewoks.
That's it.
Yeah.
There are arms missing. There's sexual
Princess Leia
innuendo.
and her-
There's sexual innuendo all over the place. We're freezing
Princess
people. The bad guys are winning. A giant, snake comes out of the ground and eats somebody alive. What in there is specifically geared
Well, that's what
towards
life is, right? A series of down endings.
Princess Leia.
I'm just saying. Princess Leia in her skimpy outfit. Yeah, for a 12-year-old. Okay. That's fine. Right? That's okay.
So one of the things
Hypocrisy
that
at its
I've
finest.
been doing, I know, tell me about it. One of the things
No,
I've been doing
no, we're done. We got to move on to actually talk about the movie. I got to call it right there. You can save
I
whatever.
wasn't as-
We can save whatever
This is
next
about-
list you have for next week because it's already 10 o'clock. Let's call these 2 hours, 2-hour block, and then we can move on to the movie and do that for an hour. That way we can all get to bed at a decent time.